Hello, and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn some important vocabulary and clear up some confusing pronunciation. So let's get started. Today we're not talking about these two words, because you probably already know these two words. But in case you don't, let's do a review. This is a desert. Put the stress on the first syllable. It's a noun. It's a countable noun. This is a desert. And this is dessert. Put the stress on the second syllable. Dessert. This is dessert. Let's practice. Is this a desert? That's right, this is a desert. And I want cake for dessert. What about you? What do you want for dessert? Very good. Now let's talk about this word. It looks like desert, but it's not. This word is pronounced dessert. It's a verb. It means something completely different. So let's take a closer look. The verb desert in the present, in the past deserted. It means to leave somebody or to leave something, to abandon somebody or to abandon something. I can say he deserted his family. That means he left his family. He abandoned his family. Remember, the stress is on the second syllable, dessert. Pronounced just like the sweet food. But it's spelled differently, and it means something different. Let's hear some examples.
I am sorry, but he has deserted you.
You deserted me.
My so-called family deserted me. Michelle's mad at me.
I imagined you were desperately ill with smallpox. When everyone deserted you, I went boldly to your bedside and nursed you back to life.
I deserted you this week.
You deserted him years ago.
Mrs. Goronsky, your husband told me you deserted him and the children.
So we heard a lot of examples of people deserting other people. But we can also use it for the military. Example, the soldier left the army. He abandoned his troops. I can say he deserted. And he is a deserter. That's what you call a soldier that abandons the troops. I can use the verb with an object or with no object. First example, with no object. It was very difficult, so he decided to desert. No object. Let's practice. Was it very difficult? Did he decide to desert? That's right. It was very difficult, so he decided to desert. Not good. And now, is he a deserter? That's right. He's a deserter. Let's talk about pronunciation. If I change the verb desert to the past, I hear deserted. The T changes to a fast D because it's between vowels. He deserted. And he is a deserter. Again, the T is between vowels, so it's a fast D. He's a deserter. It's a countable noun. So I use the article a. He's a deserter. So example, he deserted his troops. Now I have an object. He deserted his troops. He abandoned them. I use the verb desert in the past, deserted. Let's practice in the past. Did he desert his troops? That's right, he deserted his troops. Is he a deserter? That's right, he's a deserter. Now let's look at this word, deserted. It looks like the past of desert, but it's not. It's an adjective. I describe a place where there are no people, and I say the place is deserted. You describe a place with no people as deserted. The place is deserted. Let's hear some examples.
I got a flat tire on the side of a deserted country road.
We were in a deserted city.
You got anything, Lieutenant?
Village is deserted, sir.
What about Westworld? That was deserted.
Did you bring the gun?
The precinct was deserted.
Why did you bring us to the most deserted place in New York?
The Gungan City is deserted.
Oh, if they didn't know this beach was deserted, what else don't they know?
Wow, it really is deserted.
Example, he landed on this island with no people, so we call it a deserted island. And he can't leave. He's stuck. So we say he's stranded. Stranded is another adjective. It means you're stuck and you can't leave. He's stranded on a deserted island. Deserted is an adjective describing the island with no people. Well, there's one person now, but we still say it's a deserted island. He's stranded on a deserted island. Let's hear some examples with a deserted island.
If you were stranded on a deserted island and could only take one of your ex-girls, Who would it be?
Well, he got dropped on a deserted island with Ogre, of all people. You know, those people over there, they...
I imagine wearing this while on a deserted island with Bobby Darin.
You're basically alone on a deserted island with two readily available women.
Joyce, you ever stranded on a deserted island? Walnuts.
About the time Finn and I are ready to leave, we found this article about a Spanish sailor who was rescued off a deserted island after being shipwrecked for 3 years.
Let's practice. Is he stranded on a deserted island? That's right, he's stranded on a deserted island. He needs help. And from his long hair and beard, I would say he's been stranded on a deserted island for a while. Let's practice. Has he been stranded on a deserted island for a while? That's right, he's been stranded on a deserted island for a while. Looks like he's been there for a long time. So remember these confusing words. The first word is desert. A desert. It's a hot place with sand. And dessert. You're talking about sweet food. There are two S's. And then we have the verb desert, in the past deserted, talking about leaving and abandoning somebody. And then we have deserted, the adjective, describing a place with no people. They're all different. So keep watching to practice with more confusing vocabulary. Today we're looking at these three words, utter, utter, and utter. They're all pronounced exactly the same, but they mean three different things. So let's look at the first one, utter. This utter is an adjective. It means complete and absolute. Example, I can say it was utter chaos. That means it was complete and absolute chaos. It was utter chaos. We see the double T pronounced as a fast D because it's between vowels. Utter, utter. It was utter chaos. Let's hear some examples.
It's utter chaos around here.
It's complete and utter chaos down at the mall. Police and emergency crews are on the scene. We don't really know what's going on, and still no word from Storma Norman.
Utter chaos, Chief.
Yeah.
It was utter chaos in the garden.
Example. How was work today? It was crazy. It was utter chaos. Remember the word chaos, the pronunciation. It doesn't match the spelling. Chaos. Use the k sound like cake, plus the long A, K, and then the ah sound like hot and stop. Chaos. We link the two vowels with the y sound like yes and yesterday. Together, chaos. It was utter chaos at work today. Complete and total chaos. It was utter chaos. Let's practice. How was work today? Was it crazy? Was it utter chaos? That's right, it was crazy. It was utter chaos. Now let's talk about this utter. It's spelled the same as the previous utter, but it's a verb, and it means something completely different. To utter means to make a sound with your voice. I can say he didn't say anything. He didn't utter a word. Remember, it's a verb. He didn't utter a word. And I can change the verb to past. Uttered. In the present, utter. In the past, uttered.
But the idea had been spoken, and the words wouldn't go back after they'd been uttered aloud.
The circus ape is incapable of human speech, and to the best of your knowledge, he's never uttered a word.
That deadly phrase, uttered many times before by hundreds of mothers, was not surmountable by any means known to Kid.
She decided not to utter a word to anyone anymore.
So just for spite, he would never utter a spoken word. He would only sing it.
He cannot utter the simplest word.
Last night, in her sleep, she uttered a phrase, Pana Witchy Salitu.
There is not enough chastity in language, but offense to utter them.
Even more treacherous than he is attractive. He has never uttered a single word without some dishonorable intention.
Example. He was quiet. He was quiet the whole time. He didn't say anything. He didn't utter a word. Let's practice. Was he quiet? That's right, he was quiet. Did he say anything? That's right, he didn't say anything. Did he utter a word? That's right, he didn't utter a word. Now let's talk about this udder. This one's spelled differently. It has a double D. And we do the same pronunciation, the fast D sound. Udder, udder. This is a noun. A cow has an udder. It's where the milk comes from. And what's the action? The action, the verb, is milk. You milk a cow. Example, she's milking a cow. And where does the milk come from? The milk comes from the cow's udder. That's the part of the cow's body where the milk comes from. That's the cow's udder. Let's practice. What is she doing? Is she milking the cow? That's right, she's milking the cow. And where does the milk come from? Does the milk come from the cow's udder? That's right, the milk comes from the cow's udder. So remember these three words. They're all pronounced exactly the same, but they mean different things. Udder, udder, and udder. The first one is an adjective. It means complete and absolute. The second one is a verb. It means to make a sound with your voice. You utter a sound. You utter a word. And the last one is the part of a cow where the milk comes from. That's the cow's udder. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.